Hello, happy Tuesday. I wanted to come on live to go over some basics when it comes to parasite cleansing. I'm Julie with Balance Life with Julie, regenerative health practitioner and holistic nutritionist. And I myself am in the midst of a parasite cleanse. So I thought I would share some tips. Hang on, I gotta love. You gotta see my home. Maybe one of these days I'll like post it online. My home's my home set up for recording. It is definitely a do-it-yourself kind of job situation I have set up. But maybe one day I'll graduate to like an actual studio and there'll be live guests and all of that fun stuff. We could get there. All right. So, as I talk a lot about parasite cleansing because I feel that this is one of those things, number one, everyone needs to do because everybody gets parasites. And it's just we get exposed to them through our food. I have 3 dogs. So, no matter how conscious I am about making sure that my food is clean, I have animals, they get into things, and it's virtually impossible to avoid picking up parasites. So especially if you have a dog or a cat or you're around animals, and it's very easy to pass them between people as well. And this is something that I wasn't even that conscious of. And then when I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's, one of the things that my other half, Michael, said to me at one point on my journey, where I was trying all of these different protocols and nothing was helping, and I was so frustrated, is he's like, you probably need to do some parasite cleansing. And I was like, no, I don't think that's it. And then lo and behold, when I got on a protocol where not only was I addressing my diet and my gut health, but I also started doing some parasite cleansing, it made a massive difference. So since then, I will talk about parasite cleansing with pretty much anybody who will give me the time of day and listen to me. So I'm a big proponent of doing parasite cleanses at least twice a year. I don't think you need to be cleansing or parasite cleansing all the time. No, like that's not healthy. It's not wise. But I do think that being very focused and specific when it comes to parasite cleansing has a huge benefit. So last year, I'll just go over some of the things that I've done the last couple of years in terms of parasite cleansing. So at the start of 2024, I actually went through a pretty intensive 90-day parasite cleanse protocol. And since then, I've brought in other modalities. So even if I'm working with a client and clients that have like serious chronic health issues, I think there are ways to avoid having to do like 90-day or 4-month protocols just because of some of the other tools I have, like molecular hydrogen and redox, and I use a plant extract spray now that also helps to address chemicals, heavy metals, parasites, and pathogens. So that spray is so supportive that it actually helps do some of the parasite cleansing. And that means that some of the other anti-parasitic herbs I can use less of or recommend less of. So it kind of, it simplifies things, which I like. I'm all about simplicity because I find that for a lot of people, like most people, they have jobs, they have partners, they have kids, maybe they have elderly parents and they're working out of outside the home, they're having to commute. So having really complicated protocols is very hard for most people to follow. So one of the things that I like to do as a practitioner is to try to simplify things as much as possible so that it's easy to stick to. So at the start of 2024, I did like a 90-day anti-parasitic protocol, and I was doing it while I was traveling, which kind of made it intense because I was having to bring all these herbs with me and packing and unpacking them pretty much every day or every other day, depending on where we were traveling, because we were doing a road trip. So I did that, and then I had 2 or 3 months off. And then when I came and came home and I went on another protocol, that was when I did my 111 days of juicing and superfoods. And in the midst of that, I did a 60-day anti-parasitic protocol. And then later in the year, late fall, I did a shorter protocol for parasites. So that was 2024. This year, at the start of 2025, I did a 30-day protocol. And here's the thing that I find is once you've done those longer protocols, 60 days, 90 days, unless you're dealing with something like mold, Lyme, or cancer, generally it's like you do those intensive protocols. And as long as you're pretty mindful with your diet and lifestyle, then you can do shorter protocols. And some of those protocols look like, 5 or 7 days over a full moon, 5 days on, and then, or 7 days on, and then you have like a pause, and then the following full moon, maybe using different anti-parasitic herbs. So that's what I'm experimenting with right now, where we just had a full moon last night. I started the anti-parasitic herbs a couple days ago prior to the full moon. So I'm going to continue the anti-parasitic herbs probably for about 7 days. And then the next full moon, I will play with some other herbs. So I don't do the same herbs all the time. I shift between a few different formulations, because what happens with parasites is they really do get used to the same things. And so if you're always using wormwood or black walnut or certain herbs over and over again, they'll get used to it and they'll stop working. So I like to cycle between, I would say I probably have at least 4 or 5 different herbs that I rotate between, so they never know what's coming, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing like 7 days on with a specific couple of herbs, practitioner grade herbs. And then the next full moon, I will play with some other herbs. And that should put me in good stead, where I don't need to do any kind of any kind of parasite cleansing until late fall. So that's what I mean, is that once you've really laid a strong foundation in terms of your health, and gone through some pretty mindful and well-planned detox protocols, then it just becomes about maintenance. It's not always having to roll up your sleeves and go in, dig in deep or anything like that. The other thing I want to mention, because this came out for me today, is that oftentimes when you're parasite cleansing, what'll happen is you will most likely experience cravings, and you may also experience different types of emotions, like feeling sad or feeling angry, or even feeling anxious. And those are not your emotions. They're usually the emotions that the parasites are feeling. And because you're using these herbs, and like for me, what I always advise people to do is, before you start doing parasite cleansing, step by step, first step, always change your diet. I know that there are people out there who say that you can parasite cleanse without changing your diet. I don't believe that that's the case at all, because the reason that the parasites are in your system to begin with is because there's an acidic environment, there's a stagnant environment within your body that's really comfortable for the parasites. So they're not going to leave if you keep the environment the same, right? No matter how good the herbs are that you're working with. So I personally, and just a little side note, a couple of years ago, I worked with a woman that was a very complex case, and I advised that she change her diet. And I would say that she was pretty good with her diet until dinner time. And dinner time would roll around and she would just kind of fall off track. And so the whole time that I was working with her, which was like 4 or 5 months, and when she was doing parasite cleansing, the parasites never stopped leaving her body. And that was because she kept feeding them. Like, as she was getting rid of them, she was putting more into her system through her diet. So of course, like, they they were like always they were always in fresh supply. So anyway, that's why I always advise diet change first. That way that we start to change the internal terrain of the body, make the internal terrain alkaline, make it uncomfortable for the parasites, somewhere where the parasites do not want to hang out. And then the second thing always is to make sure your elimination pathways are open. Believe it or not, most people, a lot of people, like literally millions and millions of people, do not go to the bathroom on a regular basis. They are backed up, literally. And so that's always the second thing. We want to make sure that our lymph system is moving and that our elimination pathways are open. Sorry. My partner is going to come home any second, and I am hoping that my dogs don't totally lose their mind. Uh, if you work from home and you have a home office, you know what I'm talking about. The other day I was doing a live call and I thought, you know what? I am going to leave them out of the room and I'm going to do my call in my office with the door closed. Well, they were making so much commotion out like downstairs with every sound, everything that was whatever caught their attention that was outside, that it was very, very chaotic for my call. So anyway, now I'm doing a live, they're in my office, and I'm just hoping that they're going to behave. Okay, so change the diet, open up elimination pathways. Third thing is parasites feed on heavy metals. So I always love to get heavy metal cleansing or heavy metal detox happening before we start anti-parasitic herbs, because if you take away, the comfortable environment of your body and you take away their food supplies, the heavy metals that they're feeding on, then when you hit them with those anti-parasitic herbs, it's game over, baby. That's what's happening. That is what's up. So that's how I like to do it. And then there's different protocols. My initial anti-parasitic protocol that I always like to have most people start on is 20 days of prep, where we're working on the diet, opening up elimination pathways, addressing heavy metals. And then we do a parasite cleanse for 10 days on, 14 days off, 10 days on. And then usually by the end of that, I like to see where things are at, how someone is feeling. And if they're ready to do another round, usually I like to do a plant enzyme protocol that really works on the gut. And it runs over 7 days. So usually I like to do that in month 4. And then we do a second anti-parasitic protocol. Again, I would probably work on lining it with the full moon. And I have also been using this master plant spray that helps to detox chemicals, heavy metals, parasites, spike proteins, and just microplastics. Really gets in. And what it does is it actually helps to upgrade the blood within the body. Just FYI, we have 50 to 75 trillion cells, depending on the person. We have 2 fluids, blood and lymph. Our blood actually only makes up 20% of the fluids. Lymph makes up 80% of the fluids. Our blood is responsible for feeding our cells and tissues. Our lymph is responsible for taking out the trash. Most people are dealing with dirty blood. They've never cleaned up the internal terrain within their body. So there's a lot of stagnation. There are even issues in terms of blood flowing and blood not flowing to all the cells and tissues. And therefore, there are many cells and tissues that actually are not getting proper nourishment, proper hydration, and they're also not having the proper removal of trash. So generally what I like to do is I like to do kind of like that 90-day initial protocol. And then month 4, depending on where someone's at, we would go deeper in terms of working on the gut and working on doing a second anti-parasitic protocol. And then usually by that point, we're several months into working together and most things have resolved. That's been my experience in working with clients the past 8 years. And I do find like now that I've been doing this for this long, I have a lot of different modalities, but I've really streamlined it down to like 3 or 4 main ones that help to get the cellular communication happening within the body, help to hydrate and nourish at the cell level, and then really address detox in a fashion where we're not just looking at one thing, but we're addressing the heavy metals, the toxic chemicals, microplastics, spike proteins, and of course, parasites. So we're going after multiple things with one protocol instead of doing like 3 or 4 or 5 different protocols. So that's what I mean by simplicity. And there's a way to like weave those things in so it's as simple as and as easy as, swapping out the water you're drinking, swapping out the foods that you're eating, and then doing a couple of herbals on top of that. So simple, simple, simple. Hang on. I just heard that my other half pulled in. I just heard him pull into the driveway. So we're going to see what happens. Anyway, yeah. So what I was saying is that oftentimes when you are parasite cleansing, and especially when it's full moon time and you're like my experience has been is that I've changed the internal terrain in the body. I've been doing the heavy metal detox. Then I get in there with the anti-parasitic herbs and I will have days where I feel emotionally low, like I'm not my normal, chipper, happy self. And it always kind of gets me off guard because I sort of forget. And then I remember, like, oh, yeah, I'm doing these anti-parasitic herbs. And these emotions are actually not mine. These emotions belong to the parasites who are not happy that I'm kicking them out of their wonderful home. And so you may have days where you feel like crying or you're feeling upset or anxious. Just understand that those are not your emotions. And what you can do is just be gentle with yourself. So that's what I did for myself today. I canceled a couple of things. I was planning on doing this live earlier, but I decided to do the live later in the day, just give myself a little bit more time and take it a little bit slower than my normal pace, just so that I can give myself some grace. And then likely tonight, I'll wind down, I'll have a bath, I'll read a book, I'll do some meditation before I go to sleep, and just keep reminding myself that this is a part of the process. The other thing that happens is you may actually experience pretty intensive cravings for the types of foods that parasites like, which is they love bread, they love pasta. Those are things that I normally don't eat, but it's interesting to have cravings for that pop up. They also love sugar. Now, in our house, we don't keep desserts. We don't keep sugar kicking around our house at all. So there's nothing of the kind that I can give my little parasitic friends. But it is interesting observing how the cravings are coming up for me, and to just observe them and let them go, because they do pass. It's not like I'm having cravings for sugar that's so intense that that's all I can think about. And if anything, anytime you're going through a program, whether you're working on addressing parasites or you're just working on changing your dietary habits, you're working on changing your eating patterns, what'll happen is you will have cravings. That's a normal part of the process. And when you start to have those cravings, the best thing that you can do is just distract yourself. So I will distract myself and do something else, or generally if it's during my workday, I've got things to do already. So I will focus on whatever it is that I need to do for work, or maybe I'll go outside for a walk, or, now the weather is nice, I'll get on my bike, I'll grab my partner, we'll go for a bike ride, we'll do something. And then by the time I get back, I've forgotten about the craving, right? Or yeah, so there are any exercise, do some yoga, call a friend, find ways to shift your focus away from food. And, it's interesting because one of the things I always invite people to do when they're doing protocols and programs is to really take the time while they're going through something like this to re-examine and recalibrate their relationship with food. Most of us, and I'm guilty of this as well, we use food to deal with stress, to deal with our emotions when we're bored, when we're upset. And yeah, sometimes when we're actually hungry, but most of the time we eat out of for many other reasons other than requiring nourishment. And so when you're doing a protocol or a program, whether it's like you're just working on doing the lifestyle transformation, or you're doing a program where you're working on addressing parasites more deeply, it's really, really important to take the time to look at yourself and examine all the ways that you utilize food as a coping mechanism. And then instead of using food as a coping mechanism, think of what are other ways that you could support yourself. So you're feeling stressed out, you're feeling overwhelmed, you can do breath work, you can do yoga, go outside for a walk, ground, put your feet in the grass, put your feet in the sand, or do some breathing, deep breathing, do some tapping. So starting to utilize other tools, other modalities to help support yourself so that you're not always turning to food. Okay, so that's what I wanted to cover on the parasite side of things. Then I heard something so profound from one of my teachers last week that as soon as I heard it, I was like, you know what? I absolutely need to share this with people. And I'm always learning, I'm always researching, I'm always like doing my own work on myself so that number one, I'm a well-adjusted human being that can show up authentically. But number two, so that I also have things that I'm experimenting with. And I'm just doing a live right now, honey. I'll be back. I'll be done in like.
You'll be back?
I'll be back on the live. Okay, I'll be done in a few minutes. All right. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna run some hydrogen. I could use some recovery right now. Anyway, so yeah, I'm always focused on working on myself and improving myself so that whatever tools and resources I'm using, I can pass on to you. And hopefully you can experiment and try these things for yourself so that you can support your own health and vitality. So the thing that I heard is that oftentimes when we, like, as we're going through life, inevitably there'll be times where people upset us. Maybe we get wronged or hurt by others. Maybe some people, do things that are really, really abusive and harmful. And I understand how hard it is going through those experiences, having gone through some of those experiences myself. And oftentimes we attach a story to that experience and we hold on to a lot of anger and a lot of resentment, and we want harm on that other person. We want like revenge, quote unquote, revenge of some kind, right? And the thing that I heard last week was that anytime we do that, anytime we wish others harm, we actually delay our own blessings. And if there were blessings that were coming to us, we take those blessings and we send them to that other person instead of to ourselves. Because remember that this is a universe where everything is frequency and energy, everything is cause and effect, right? And so the best thing that you can do if you want blessings to come your way is that no matter who has done whatever they've done, the best thing you can do is, number one, forgive them. Just like forgive them, as difficult as it may be. And if you find it hard to forgive someone, ask the creator, ask the universe, ask whatever it is that you like to call source energy, whether it's by the name, it's the name of God or Allah or whatever name it is that you utilize, or you're like me, you call it the creator or the universe. But ask the universe for the strength and the ability to practice and to give this person forgiveness. And then the second step is just wish them well. Send them blessings. Every single time they pop into your mind, instead of getting upset and angry and wishing them harm, actually wish them well. And what'll happen is that blessings will come to you tenfold. The third step to this, forgiveness, send them blessings. The third step to this is to not speak poorly of them. When someone asks, instead of giving it more voice, more energy, and continuing to spread negativity, if you can just refrain from doing that and just, change the subject. Like if someone asks you about a particular person, a particular event, you can just very kindly say, you know what, I don't really want to talk about that. I don't want to give it any more energy, but thanks for asking. Right? Just leave it at that. Oftentimes what happens is, as human beings, and I'm guilty of it, we have a habit of gossiping and criticizing and complaining. That was the word I was looking for. We have a habit of complaining, right? And it soothes our ego sometimes, especially if we're upset with somebody. It soothes our ego to tell someone else this story of how this person harmed us or wronged us in some way. But what ends up happening is, number one, you're delaying your blessings, because now whatever blessings were coming your way, they're going to take a little detour and go to that person. And number two is you're creating this like force field of negativity around you that's lowering your vibration, your frequency, which is also delaying your blessings. So as hard as it is, if you can get in the habit of just sending blessings to whoever hurt you or harmed you, and forgive them and do your best not to speak poorly of them, you will attract more blessings, more abundance, more joy, more of all the things into your life. So that's what I wanted to share. And I think it's pretty powerful. This is something that I practice myself, is I do my best not to complain. And that, like, I've made that kind of my practice of like, okay, as I'm going through my week, day by day, can I not complain about whatever's happening? Maybe somebody was late, maybe something got canceled, maybe something I was hoping to happen doesn't happen. Can I just make it my business to not complain? Or maybe, any slew of things, right? Even in terms of like, I personally don't pay attention to the news, but sometimes, it's hard when we're logging into our devices. Sometimes something will catch the eye. And what I do is I do my best to not pay attention to the news, because generally the way that the news is set up is it's set up to get us upset and angry in a state of fear. And then oftentimes, like, have you ever noticed, like, there's so much good in this world. There's so much good that happens on a daily basis. But what gets reported, it's always the bad stuff. And one would think that the entire world is always in perpetual chaos, but it isn't. So if you start looking for the good, you will find the good. And that's what I would encourage anybody who's watching this video. If you've made it this far, just do this practice for 30 days. Try not to complain about anything and see what happens. See how you start to feel within your body. Chances are you're going to feel lighter and brighter and happier. And second off, just start to notice how you engage with the world around you by becoming more mindful of what you speak. Remember that our words have creation power. We are actually creators. We're all in this human bodysuit in this virtual reality, but we're really all souls, right? We are part of the infinite. And for a brief period of time, we've come into this world to go through our, whatever lessons our soul came down to learn. That's why we're here. And so we've gotten distracted by the 3D, not realizing that we're a part of the infinite and we're a part of, the light. And so I would encourage you to connect with that infinite soul consciousness on a daily basis. And that's what prayer is about. That's what meditation is about. That's what speaking to the higher power is about. And, if you don't have that practice, start. I really do think that if more people had a spiritual practice, the things that are happening, that are playing out in front of us, we would be less affected by them. Because when you have that relationship with a higher power, you know that no matter what, you're going to be okay. It may not look the way that you want it to look or the way that your ego desires it to look, but you're going to be okay. And if I think back even on my life during going through really, really hard times, it's always worked out. Here I am sitting in my home office recording this video for you. And I can say with 100% certainty, every challenge I've ever faced, I've always come out the other side stronger, better, more abundant, more blessed. And so it's always worked out. And now what I do is anytime I find myself getting upset or stressed out about something, I don't stay upset or stressed for very long because I remind myself of how it has historically always worked out for me. And if I encourage you to think back on your life, and you'll see that it's always worked out for you as well. So I hope that this helps and gives you some perspective, gives you some tools to work on in the days and weeks ahead. I want to thank you for being a part of my online community. It really means a lot to me. I love being able to record this content and put it out into the world, and so that others may use these tools. Goodness knows, I wish that I had found these tools on the health side and the mindset side a lot sooner in my journey. And I definitely wish that I had been implementing them more powerfully than I have been. I wish I had been implementing them a lot sooner in my life as well, because it's made a massive difference. So anyway, I hope you found value in the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, because it helps me, allows me to continue to create this content. Make sure that you check the links below this video. There are some freebies. I also am affiliated with some pretty amazing brands and companies that are offering real solutions when it comes to health and well-being. If you have any questions, I love answering questions. I really do. So if you have any questions, please also put them below the video. Subscribe, share this with your friends, and thank you for being a part of my community. The other thing is, if you are in a position where you are dealing with a chronic health issue and you really want guidance and support, I do have a membership. It's called Elevate. It's absolutely amazing. We do live weekly support calls. So if you haven't checked that out, please check out Elevate below in the captions. And I just want to thank you for being here. It really is such an honor and a blessing. And I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.